Go love your own enemies. Don't be loving mine. My enemies are the theocratic fascists. I don't love them. I want to destroy them.
You're a child made in the image of God. Oh no, you're not. You're a faggot. And you can't join your church and you can't go to heaven. This is disgraceful. It's inhuman.
There's an article on HuffPost Religion that just says more atheists might actually strengthen religion. And there's a lot of interesting comments under this article. Brian Andrews writes, "What exactly is a militant atheist? Militant theists fly planes into buildings and blow up abortion clinics. But all it takes to be labeled a militant atheist is to contradict the claims made by religion." I wrote, I disagree with this. The downfall of religion is not caused by atheism. It's caused by knowledge readily available now to all. Jesus and, I just stumbled across this the other day, likely Muhammad too, are made up fiction. The entire gospel is fiction to try to historicize a made-up character. Mary, Joseph, and the disciples, fiction, and next to no actual history found in the Old Testament. Knowledge, that has always and will remain religion's biggest threat. I know from personal experience, it was not listening to naysayers that unraveled my belief. It was my effort to find answers to the questions I had repressed most of my life. It was the combination of desire to know the truth and being no longer afraid to find the answers. Real truth should be able to welcome and withstand all questions. Christianity did not, and in fact, has much it wants and needs to hide. Roberto Barajas says, "The burden of proof is on the Christian people to prove what the Bible says is true and that the characters depicted in it were once real. If you can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that all the events in both Bibles happened, that a man named Jesus existed by showing me some documentation like a birth certificate, and prove that there's a God, I will convert right now. Until then, you haven't got a shred of proof that Christianity is nothing more than Scientology with a different name. All fictional. So go ahead, convert me. That is your religious responsibility after all." Someone named Flora G wrote, "I thought the same thing with equal marriage. The couples will work at strengthening traditional marriage now rather than redefine it. In regards to nuns and atheists, etc., moderate atheists have begun to distance themselves from militant atheist groups because they find that atheism offers nothing for the spirit and they miss community. So yeah, this pressure from atheists may cause people to re-examine and take a better look at how slack they have become in regards to their traditional values. The old saying, you don't know what you've got until..." I wrote back in response to Flora G, "Atheism offers nothing for the spirit? Excuse me, but how would you know? Knowledge is power, self-confidence, ability to love yourself, understanding of how precious this one life is, and freedom. I cannot for the life of me think of anything better that has happened in my life. then stumbling across the knowledge that I was born right the first time. Flora G writes me back, how do I know? I know because of my own experience. How else would I know? You say that knowledge is power? Well, spirituality has nothing to do with wanting power or feeding the ego. The new movement of atheists are all about the ego, and I'm so over it. All they seem to do is talk about the God they hate and the things they want to get rid of. It's boring. Also, if atheism had a spiritual sense to it, then why are so many atheists splintering off to develop atheist churches? I wrote, Spirit is what moves me. And Flora, you cannot speak for all atheists. Not all of one kind dislike another kind. Everyone is different. When I say power, I mean self-confidence and understanding. These are good things. Believing a lie is not, and that is all Christianity is. Flora G writes, Di, you can't speak for me either, and who said anything about false beliefs? There are atheists who would mock you for calling yourself an atheist and saying that you have spiritual experiences. I wrote, sorry, but they are. The Gospels are fiction. The Old Testament are myth. Adam and Eve and Lilith, Moses, Jesus, made up characters. She writes back, LOL. And then she writes, see, that's the typical atheist jargon that's becoming so drab. The most boring thing that anyone could say about the Bible is, it's not real. I wrote, no, it's what I uncovered when I went looking for answers and what many people discover. It's not jargon, it's fact. The earliest Christians did not believe in a walking, talking Jesus. This character was made up, and this fact is right there for all to see in the cult's origins. Your experiences are a placebo based on fabrication and lies. And you can LOL all you want to. There is nothing amusing about having to discover beliefs you had for over 35 years are untrue. Why are atheists developing churches? Very likely because humans are social creatures and many enjoy being around other people without having to go to a bar to do it. It has nothing to do with needing your imaginary friend and crutch. As for it being drab to say the Bible is not real, tell me what would be a more exciting thing to say. If the truth is boring to you, what would you rather hear? The Bible is a real book. No one questions this. It has a cover and pages, and if you lift it, it has weight. Enough that if you threw it at someone, it would hurt them. But being real does not make it actual history. There's next to no actual history in it. I'm sorry if saying so is drab or boring, but this is a fact. It has next to nothing in line with actual science. 2 Peter is a forgery. 6 of the 13 letters credited to Paul are accepted forgeries. The Old Testament has clearly been radically tampered with because the whole Lilith story has been edited out. How much other of God's precious word has been edited out by mere men? And how can you trust that any of it is God's word when so much of it is blatant forgery or has been so badly distorted by men, in parentheses. And what God worth his metal would let his word be distorted by men, or resort to such primitive means to get his all-important message across? Sorry if this has you mind-numbingly bored, but I find history very exciting. Discovering along the way the beliefs I held dear to my heart for the majority of my life, more painful than exciting, but once I got over the humiliation and embarrassment, still dealing with a lot of anger, at the understanding I had been conned for so long, I now find I have an endless hunger to learn more. Truth rocks. Knowing fact from fiction has nothing to do with ego. It's called learning about history and the growth of civilization and increasing one's understanding of the world. I think that's pretty cool. Brian Andrews writes, the moment religion is used to restrict civil or reproductive rights or obstruct action on climate change, it becomes a subject open to criticism. There's an old truism: if you don't want my opinion, don't tell me yours. Theists in the U.S. violate that every day. This is another good comment that I liked by somebody named Ricardo Bustamante, probably saying that wrong, spelled B-U-S-T-A-M-A-N-T-E. He writes, religious people are not in the business of hope. Religious people are in the business of remaining blissfully delusional for the sake of giving life the illusion of stability and control and purpose, when we are little more than accidents in an empty, chaotic universe. To a more immediately noticeable extent, religious people are in the business of using mythology to exert petty moral authority over other people and then playing the victim card when told to cut that shit out. Religion will gradually recede until it ceases to exist in any form except tiny localized cults, kind of like how the Amish are. Somebody named Andre Leonard writes, life is too short to be lived in religious bondage of any kind, but some people seem to need it. Since removing my shackles, I am free to allow what will be to occur, with no false hopes of an imaginary person there to assist me or to blame when things go wrong. In this article, more atheists might actually strengthen religion. It's written by Reverend Stephen Kendrick. I never know whether to say Stephen or Stephen when it's spelled with a PH. Everyone agrees that we are entering an increasingly tough era for organized religion, with a recent Pew poll showing a sharp rise among spiritually unaffiliated Americans. In only 7 years, these nuns have risen sharply from 16% of our population to nearly 24%. Oh, my computer just did something stupid, to nearly 24%, only confirming what clergy across the spiritual spectrum already see in their pews. While mainline Protestant denominations, and now I have a pop-up, are hurting the worst, even conservative megachurches for the first time declined membership last year. And no one seems to have answers as to how to stem the increasing exodus. I'm not going to read the whole article. I will put the link in case somebody wants to. You know, the answer is simple. You're not going to get away with this anymore, saying to people, you just gotta have faith. You're not going to get away with it anymore, because we have the internet now. And even lazy people who don't, or people who just don't like to read books, they're intimidated by books, can find information out and learn because of the internet. And the more people that learn, the more the word is going to spread that this is bullshit. The truth is out there now. And people like myself, who were believers, and walked around in this bubble thinking this was all so true. We're separate from the world. We're aliens. I'm trying to think of the lyrics to the song that I used to like when I was a Christian. We are strangers. God, I don't remember the tune. But the words, we are strangers, we are aliens, we are not of this world. I think it was Petra who sang this song. I liked Petra. Anyway, sorry about the attempt to say I can't remember the tune. It was a long time ago since I heard this song. But that's the attitude you have as a Christian. Well, all these things of the world. I'm not of the world. I'm separate from the world. The world equals evil, bad. You don't want to go there. It's, don't let the world into your little bubble. I mean, it's like you walk around with this fortress of this force field protecting you. And I did that for like 35 years. So when that comes crashing down, there is so much feelings. It's like you feel relief that you're not a horrible person, that you're not a failure. You haven't failed anybody. And you've been good all along. This amazing relief. And for the first time you feel like there's hope that you can come to love yourself. That there is hope for you. And that, you're not sitting around waiting for some spirit, some force beyond the clouds, whatever, to reach down and make your life work. You're not doing that anymore. You're just sitting there waiting for that special guidance to happen. You realize that you're the one that has to do the work. You have to make things happen. It's all up to you. But there's also, besides the relief and the understanding that you have to get to work before your life is over, there's anger. People get, why are you so angry? And why are atheists so angry? I don't think people who've been atheists their whole lives, I don't think they're so angry. I think it's people like myself. When you see an angry atheist, say the word right, I bet anything that person was a Christian or a Muslim or somebody who was a theist for a while or a long while. Somebody who dedicated a lot of their life to something and believed it with all their heart, put a lot of energy into it, walked around, this was part of my identity. Trying to sell this to other people too, and this is the way to go. The feeling of being betrayed is so intense, and you're angry. Anybody finds out they've been betrayed, they're gonna feel anger. There's a lot more angry atheists because a lot of these people he's talking about that used to be sitting in the pews are now atheists, and they're angry because they were lied to. And the bad part is you can't even be angry at the people who lied to you because they were lied to. And those people who lied to them were lied to. And it goes back 2,000 or more years, depending on what cult you're listening to or believing in. And you yourself lied. So you can't really get upset with other people lying to you because you're a liar. You've been lying. You've been walking around telling people this like it's true because you believed it hook, line, and sinker. You didn't even bother to go out and do the research first before you bought into it. Okay. Yeah, I like the idea that I'm never going to die. I like the idea that I'm special. So what can these guys do to stem the mass exodus from the church? Well, you can't get away with you just gotta have faith bullshit anymore. People are figuring it out that you have nothing to back up any of your claims. And the way to combat this is to find something to back up your claim. It's been 2,000 years, you haven't done it yet. I kind of highly doubt you're going to find anything to back up your claims, but at least try. I don't think anybody's even tried. You've gotten away for so long with, oh, you just gotta believe. If we had actual evidence, then it wouldn't require faith, would it? That's not gonna fly very much longer. People are wising up. No, you're gonna have to go out and do the work and find evidence. Evidence that there's a God. Evidence that a Jesus existed. Evidence that any of your claims are true. Time to get to work. Because you're right. Your cult, your religion, is on a downhill slide. And you're telling people that they can't be good without God. You're telling them they can't be strong without God. And you're showing us a God how. You're producing what evidence to show a God exists. You're producing what evidence to show it's your God that exists and not some other God or gods that exist. There's no evidence at all. And yet you're laying down this heavy thing. You're a sinner. You're going to be tortured forever by our God if you don't do this and this and this and this. That's kind of a heavy thing to say to people. Kind of And where is the evidence? You want to rule people with fear, bully people into believing. People are starting to feel like, okay, you're threatening me with something, but I don't see what you're threatening me with. It's like a guy going up to somebody and he's nothing in his hand at all, but his hand's upraised and his hand is open. His arm's upraised. I'm going to hit you with my club if you don't do what I say. And the guy standing there that he's talking to is looking at his empty hand upraised. What club? I don't see a club. You're going to go to hell if you don't believe. My God is going to da-da-da-da-da. What God? You're threatening me with a weapon that I don't see. I don't see a weapon. You're producing no evidence to show this thing exists. Why should I even listen to you? You don't have a weapon. There's nothing that I see that can hurt me. Oh, well, there's so many things that science has yet, so many things that are unexplained by science. The things that are unexplained by science, and yes, they do exist, they're still observable. There's a lot of things you can observe, and we haven't figured out the answers to, well, what makes that happen, or what is that? We haven't figured out the answers yet to everything that's observable. But there's nothing observable about gods. There's nothing discernible about gods. There's nothing tangible, or there's nothing. Gods don't manifest themselves at all. So it's not even a phenomenon that we don't understand. It's not a phenomenon. Air, you don't see air, but it manifests itself. Electricity, you don't see electricity, but it manifests itself. Other invisible things manifest themselves. It has an effect on the planet. But not gods. It's not a phenomenon. It's not a thing that we don't understand. There's no reason to even think it exists. That's what Christians have to go out and find. That evidence to show that it exists. And show that it's their God that exists. Until then, they've got an empty club that they're trying to bully people with. And people get tired after a while of being bullied. Until you find the evidence, you're going to continue on this downward slide. Until you find the evidence that your beliefs are any different than any of the other beliefs that have been, and all those other beliefs that we now laugh at. Ha ha ha, people actually used to think this? Well, guess what? Your religion/cult is next. People actually used to think this? Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to share some I'm not even going to read this article because it's stupid. It's written by a reverend. How do we get our people back? Well, that's how you do it. But I wanted to make some comments about what I think as far as people leaving religion and why and what it would take to get those people back. Knowledge really is power, and more people are gaining this knowledge. It has nothing to do with ego. It's all about just knowing what the world is. You know, we only live once. It's kind of I think it's a pretty good thing to understand what the world is, discovering the world, discovering how we fit in the scheme of things. And in my opinion, it just enhances so much appreciation for life and the unlikelihood of it, the fact that we even exist at all, just appreciation for that. We don't take it for granted. Yes, atheists can experience spirituality. It's not a word that I think religious people get to have a monopoly over. Standing and looking up into space on a really dark night and realizing how small you are compared to everything. Is a very profound experience. You can almost feel yourself rising out of your body because there's just so much sucking you up into nothingness. And at the same time, you feel like, I am an observer, here I am, intelligent enough to have a little bit of an inkling what this is that I'm looking at. Appreciating the majesty of this amazing dance of the universe. I'm a witness. I'm an observer for this flicker of time. Somebody standing here saying, wow. That's a spiritual experience. Doesn't need a God. Sitting in a meadow, feeling the breeze through your hair, feeling the warmth of the sun on your face, listening to the birds, listening to the sound of the wind through the leaves. Absolute silence except for the sounds of nature. Feeling yourself just kind of sinking down into the support beneath you, the earth. Becoming consciously aware of where your body connects to the cool ground beneath you. And just feeling like you're a part of that, part of this world, part of nature, part of this moment. It's a spiritual experience. There's a lot to this world that an atheist can find spiritual experiences. It doesn't take a God. Anyway, I'm going way too long with this. If you've been watching, thanks. Bye.
I am absolutely convinced that the main source of hatred in the world is religion. And I think it should be religion treated with ridicule and hatred and contempt.